Like we talking. Oh, hey everybody. Welcome back to About This Aging Thing. Black may not crack, but what about the other shit? And shit for us is an acronym. It stands for sex, health, interest, and truth. And today is the fourth Sunday of the month, which is our T for truth. And we have our truth guest today, Rhonda Hight. Welcome, Rhonda.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hello.
Welcome. So excited to have Rhonda with us. She's going to share her story with us, her truth with us. But before she does that, I'm going to have her tell everybody a little bit about her.
Well, thank you, Sabrina, first of all, for inviting me. Glad to be here. So, Rhonda Hight, I own a little company called Let's Talk, LLC. We actually will celebrate 30 years this December, and it's a boutique human resources consulting firm. So, I basically run my mouth for a living and get paid and get to go into corporate America and tell these folks who are doing things they shouldn't be doing that they can't do that. And I love it because a lot of times they need to be put in check, but because they're signing on backs of checks instead of front of checks, they can't do it. I'm also a author. I wrote a book called Take the Lessons and Leave the Baggage, Stories of a Solopreneur, and it's half biographical, but it's also meant for people who have a dream, who don't necessarily take the traditional route. You know, graduate high school, go get the 2 degrees, spend time in corporate, and nothing against that, but there are so many other ways to live your dreams.
That's right.
And so I offer what I hope are insights for people that are on those kind of non-traditional paths. So I'm a mom, I'm a Gigi. My grandson Braden is my life. He's my heartbeat. I shouldn't say life, but he's my heartbeat. So that's a little about me. Motown girl originally, as you know.
Detroit.
Although I now call Atlanta home.
Right.
So yeah, that's who I am.
Excellent. And she's a bright light and a beautiful spirit. I know you guys can see that. I tell her she has such a presence. I feel like I should be bowing.
Oh, Lord.
And speaking of her book, I have actually read it. Could you say the name of the book one more time for the audience?
It's called Take the Lessons and Leave the Baggage, Stories of a Solopreneur. And it's available on my website, which is www.letstalkllc.com.
There you go. That's why she makes big bucks. Now, the book is excellent. I actually went to the launch. What was that, 7 years ago?
Well, 5, because that was the 25th anniversary of the company.
Right. It
5
was
years
nice.
ago.
Beautiful launch. And I read it in a day. I couldn't put it down. So you guys should pick that book up. But today, we're not going to talk about the book too much. We're going to talk about Rhonda Hight and her truth. Yeah. We're going to always, on Tea Sundays, which is the truth, we're going to always have a guest that just comes in and shares their experiences, their stories with you. And the reason for that is that we are hoping that you will get something out of the story. We all always know that there are other people who have the same experiences that may not want to share it. These are things that we talk about behind closed doors, and that Rhonda has the courage to come out and discuss in front of the masses. So I'm going to give you the floor, Rhonda. You got it.
Okay, Sabrina.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry. One thing. I'm sorry, you guys. You know, we're sipping. You saw Rhonda sipping. Well, today, I'll tell you, it's not always alcohol. It's whatever you want to sip, your favorite beverage. And Rhonda has chosen apple juice today. I always ask my guests what they want to drink. And I'm drinking water because I've been a little bit behind in my water intake. And I need to be hydrated for this weekend because I got plans.
Yeah. And I'm on apple juice only because I haven't eaten yet today. Otherwise, I'd have a nice glass of wine. So know that. I love a good glass of wine.
Okay, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, that's all right. So I know we were talking recently, and I was sharing with you last year, 2022, one of the most challenging years of my life. A lot of stuff happened. I ended up having to fight for my home of 29 years. And that's part of what I want to share with your listeners, because it's also something I'm going to be pursuing. But I entered, and so I was married at one point, and my husband wanted to start a business. And so he said, hey, you know what, let's get a second mortgage. And I was a little green. I didn't understand the full parameters of that. But trying to save a marriage that at that time was on life support and wanting to stand by my man, I said, okay. Well, fast forward 5 years after that loan, and by that time we were already split up. He dismissed the loan, and these folks had a security deed. He had used the house as collateral with the loan. And they came after me, and I didn't know. I learned a lot. I probably could be a real estate agent, a broker, and a real estate attorney after everything that's gone on. I've learned that they can continue to add interest, even on a loan that's been discharged if it's a secured loan. And that's what they did at 14.5% interest. So in April of last year, I get this letter, and it came in something that looked like junk mail, something you would throw in. So this is one thing, you all open everything. Open everything, even the stuff you think is junk, because it was designed for me to throw away. And they were asking for almost $140,000 in order for me to keep my house.
Wow.
Long story short, that began almost a year-long fight, which included me having to file Chapter 13 because they didn't want, I got approved for refinance. Oh, no, well, we're not going to do that. Offered them $95,000. Nope, not enough money. They wanted the property because the value was so much more and what they could get. And, but, you know, they didn't count on me being a child of God and Liz's granddaughter because I was able to cancel. I voluntarily dismissed that 13. I never confirmed it. I just needed time to figure it all out. You know what I'm saying? Because so much other stuff was happening during that. And my son did tell me I could talk about it. My son was shot 4 times during all of this going on. There was stuff happening with my grandson. I was in a 4-car pileup. My car was totaled out. I didn't have transportation. All of this stuff went on between April and September of last year. And it was just too much. And I consider myself a strong person, but even the strongest of us can only hold so much.
Right.
And it broke me, and it put me in a really, really dark place, you know, where I would go to bed and I would just pray and ask God, don't wake me up. Don't wake me up.
Wow.
Because it was too much and it was just coming. And I realized that it was, in my opinion, spiritual warfare.
Yes.
You know, but I didn't feel equipped to fight. And I guess that's part of the message that I hope people take from my truth as well, is that no matter how much comes against you, if you have faith, and hopefully you have what I have, which was a supportive tribe that included you.
Thank you.
You know, people that will talk to you, people that will help you, people that will be there. And it is so important that we plant good seeds out here, because karma got everybody's address. You can't shit on people and think that you're going to be blessed. You can't be a selfish person and think that in your time of need, people are going to rally behind you.
That's right.
And I know that by giving what I had, God eventually gave me what I needed in that situation. But I also know I had to go through that because I had to learn some stuff. When I tell you that it has built endurance in me, when I tell you it has built perseverance in me, and I've always been a humble person. So I thought, I'm really humble now. It's nothing more humbling than to be faced with homelessness. And I done been down that road, as you know. I wrote about it in my book. I've been homeless. I've been a crackhead. I've been on drugs. I've gone through other stuff. So I knew what that was about. And the thought of, minus the drug piece of it, the thought of being homeless again and then not having transportation. I'm a 60-year-old woman and I'm starting all over here. That messed me up. But then I had to, you know, after this, I got into the house one weekend and was just talking to God and really telling him off too, you know, because I was angry. Why are you letting this happen to me? What did I do? Then I went to feeling like, you know, I was being punished. And I felt even worse because I said, you took all my family from me, because as you know, all my elders are gone. My siblings are gone. Aunts and uncles gone. It's just me and these children. And that's a whole nother conversation. And I just felt so like I was being bent over with no Vaseline. And I ended up having to apologize to God because I did get a little, you know, in my talk with him. But at the end of that, what he said and what I heard was, stop being a victim. You're a warrior. You ain't nobody's victim. You're a warrior. And once that came to me, I got busy. And everything started clearing up. And I went to work. Long story short, I now live in a home in Fairburn. I was able to sell that house and get my equity out of it as
Look
opposed to lose it.
Right.
You know, I got a nice little ride out there. It ain't
It
ain't the newest and the greatest.
It's
and
nice,
don't open the doors though. You can't pull up the valet
but
with
you got here though. You got here.
It look good from outside, but you don't want to take that through the valet. The inside is, a little weathered and worn, but it gets me from point A to point B.
Right.
So I know I kind of went off from what was happening with the house, but I just really wanted the folks listening to know that it was a lot. It was a lot. It was too much.
Right.
And the person that was responsible for me being in a position of possibly facing homelessness didn't want to be bothered with it at all.
Right.
Basically kicked rocks and went radio silent on me. So I had to deal with a situation that was created by myself.
Right.
But that's all right. It all worked. It worked out. So, a couple of things, I guess, with that. One is no matter how hard it gets, just hang in there. Just keep getting up. And that's what I did. Even when I didn't feel like it. Even when I didn't have a plan for the day. Even when I didn't know what the day would bring. I just kept getting up. Kept getting up. Just keep getting up and know that it's going to be okay. And sow good seeds. Don't be, don't be the person that only reaches out to people when you are in need.
That's right.
Don't be the person that when others are asking of you, you are selfish with your time, you are selfish with your gifts. Because trust, when you have your spin in the barrel, because we all have them.
That's right.
I once heard Martin Lawrence say, no one is immune to the trials and tribulations of life.
That's right.
We all have them. And when they come for you, if you have sown good seeds, if you have been good to people, trust and believe it's going to come back. And then you also got to have faith. And we hear that all the time. Faith, and people talk about faith. And that's not easy to do when you're going through. Because I will tell you, my faith was I lost it for a minute.
That's what I wanted to ask you. First of all, let's take a breath, because that's a lot.
Yeah, it is.
I'll absorb all that. This is why I have her on here, because I knew her truth was going to help a lot of people. You had me over here crying. I'm not trying to cry on my show. It's a happy show. Listen. First of all, let's coin the phrase "was been." I love that. Yeah, let's put that in the comments. Was been. Yeah. The other thing I wanted to ask, that's what I was going to ask you. While you were going through all those things, was it any time that you felt like your faith, that you didn't have any faith? I understood your faith was shaken. Did you just lose faith in God?
There were moments.
Yourself?
It did, because it felt like a punishment.
Right.
And I kept saying, I'm a good person. I live right. I pray. I worship you.
Right.
What? And then it just, because I already have had periods in my life where I questioned God. And I'm going to just be honest. You took my whole family. My whole family. You didn't leave me with nobody.
Right.
And you left me down here to deal with this shit by myself.
Right.
Faith wavered then. And in this situation, I did. Because I couldn't see the light.
Yeah.
Because it was too much, and it was just coming too fast. Just too back to back to back. And then when Marcel got shot and didn't know if he was going to make it or not, then exactly a week from the day he was shot, I was in a car wreck. And although I survived it, thank you God for that. That was a close call, but it just was too, and I was in the midst of this thing with the house, then a situation with my grandson and his mom was going on, and I was, having to step up in terms of taking care of him. It was just too much.
Let me ask you this, Rhonda. Did you, when you were coming back from it, did you ever question yourself? Did you ever doubt yourself? Because I know for me, coming back, I never thought I was going to see that light again. Things were so good for so long, and then when everything hit, it all hit at once. Yeah. My mother, my father, and my husband died in my arms. Not my father, I'm sorry. My mother, my brother, and my husband died in my arms. I used to say, God, they say God won't give you more than you can handle. Yeah. And I was thinking, this is good. I can't do anything else, right? But when you were saying it was too much, you felt it was too much, but God knew what you, because look at you now. Yeah. But my question to you is, like, as you're coming back, for me, my self-esteem was hit a little bit. And my me believing that I can make good choices for myself, I doubted my choices because I felt like the last few choices put me in a space that it was a really bad space.
Yeah.
So how did you come back from that? Like, I know you said you woke up and God said to you, did God speak to you and say you were a warrior? Or
He actually said that through one of my friends.
Got it. He used someone.
He used someone else to give me that message.
Right.
And she was like, "You're a warrior.
Yes.
You're a warrior. You know, you are not anybody's victim."
Right.
And yeah, it did affect my self-esteem a lot. And I'm still healing from that.
Yeah.
I'm still feeling, because I'm about to be 61 years old. And I had gotten to a point, I came through so much stuff. Okay, got off of welfare, got off of drugs, you know, no, haven't been homeless since the 80s, you know. I felt like I had finally got to a point, and I was preparing for retirement. And believe it or not, that house was part of the retirement plan.
Right.
And so everything that I thought I had moved past, I just felt shook, and I was like, at this age, I'm starting over.
Did you believe you could? Did you think that? So this is a pet peeve for me. Is I don't like when the society or whoever tells us what we should be doing at a certain age.
Yeah.
Now there's some things I get the retirement piece, having a nest egg. I get that because your body, you know, your brain wants to do one thing, your body wants to do another. You want to take care of yourself. I get that part. But I don't like it when people say, "Oh, she's too old for that," or "He's too young for that," or "They shouldn't be doing that because they should have did that 20 years ago." I don't know who made these rules.
Right.
But how did you, when you realized you had to start over, what were your first steps? Like, how did you just say, "Okay, let me get myself together"? Because I had to start over as well.
The first step was, how do I, because I decided to give up the house because it no longer felt like home. It was just a piece of property. Yes, it was the battlefield. Yeah. It was a piece of property. And it was my place of peace for so long. But it didn't feel that. It was just a piece of property now. And so the fight was killing me, because I was, even through all of this, ended up in the ER. I thought I was dying one night. In the middle of the night, I took an Uber to Emory because I thought I was having a heart attack, and I was in the house dying. And I was like, I don't want them to find me in here stinking. Plus my hair plus my hair ain't done. Let me get to the hospital. Maybe they can save me. Or at least if I do die, I'm in the hospital, so how I look won't be an issue. You know,
look,
even in the dark, I still got vanity now, okay?
The first thing I do is put on, make sure I got a clean underwear. Because remember, mom used to say that. Make sure you have a clean underwear.
But you know, when I had my suicide attempt, because that was part of that story.
Right.
You know, and I wrote about it in the book.
Right.
That was part of what moved me here. On the back side of that, I took a bath and put on something nice and fixed myself up and curl hair. Vanity. But you were talking about, you know, how did you do it?
How did you take those first steps?
I first of all had to figure out, what do I need to do so that these folks don't just get to just take, because that was part of why I held on so hard and fought and tried to do tried to get them to accept the refinance and take the $95,000 into Chapter 13, because it was ego. And I realized that part of me wanting to hold on was ego. Because at 60, I don't want to lose my home. What that look like? I'm losing my house and this and that, you know. And it wasn't so much just for the outside world, for me.
That's what I was going to ask you. Did you care about what people thought? Was it what you didn't want your friends or people who are doing what they're supposed to be doing or doing so well?
I never cared. You know me, Sabrina, and that's part of
why we're having people are having
that's part of why we're having this conversation, because most people wouldn't even talk about this openly. Right. So I've never been caught up. You know, you think what you think. That's your problem. It ain't mine.
Right.
And I wanted to help people, and that's part of why we're having this conversation. Yes. I wanted to help people. I want people to be aware, because I know I'm not the only one that has gone through that situation or similar situations.
With a predatory situation?
Yes, that whole predator thing. And we could talk more about that. But once I decided that, then it was like, okay, what do you need to do so that doesn't happen? Because I refuse to give them the benefit of just stealing my home. Right. Because that's basically what it is. And since I've done some research on Wilmington, Delaware Savings Trust Fund, and their 11 subsidiaries, they are known for title schemes. Gotcha. That's their thing. There's information out there. I'm actually going to be following up on all of that. And the thing that the day, because they didn't even tell me when they foreclosed on the house after they turned down all the other moves, and I went ahead and decided not to confirm the Chapter 13. That meant they had to start their process all over again, right? But even prior to that, to me, what made me file the 13 was I got another piece of junk mail. Y'all open your stuff, from an attorney saying, hey, let us help us save your house before they sell it on the courthouse.
That's how you found out it was foreclosed?
That's how I found out, because they never notified me. And guess what? All of this, even though it's predatory in nature, doesn't rise to the legal definition of predatory. They call it unethical, which is not a violation of the law. With that, they don't have to take you to court. All they got to do basically is file the paperwork and put an ad in the paper that carries the legal notices. Who reads legal notices?
Right. Nobody.
So a lot of so again, from some junk mail, I then went online to the courthouse records, found the foreclosure. Mine was on page 10, but I noticed prior to getting the 10, and then when I looked at ones after, 80% of the foreclosures that were filed, and it was a couple hundred, we're not talking just a few, 80% of the ones that were filed were Wilmington, Delaware Savings Trust Fund.
Well,
I'm sorry to hear you.
What was the company?
Wilmington, Delaware Savings Trust Fund. And they were all in brown neighborhoods. They were all my zip codes, in that area. And I said, that's when I realized this is what these people do. That's when I start kind of researching them, turn the thing on them.
And they're banking on us not reading.
Yeah, absolutely. And so that's why I ended up filing the 13 to stop that foreclosure and give me some time. Let's figure this out, because I was already... And at the time, to be honest, when I filed the 13, I was still in the mindset of wanting to keep my house. But again, I realized that was ego. Part of it was comfort, you know. Who wants to make a change after 29 years? Part of the legacy. My son, he was more upset than me. Ma, I grew up in this house. And there were a lot of and I had just did a lot of work on it during COVID, honey. So I was like, they not getting my new floors and my new appliances. Kick rocks on that. But I figured out, after consulting with an attorney, the best way to do it was to go ahead before they could turn around and know that I had stopped the bankruptcy and go ahead and sell it. And that's what I did. I was able to sell it at fair market value. I do want to shout out my real estate agent, Cecily Hendrickson with the Sky Group. She sold that house in 2 days, baby. And we got $5,000 above what we were asking for.
Wow.
Yes, with 3 offers
Timing is
in
everything.
2 days. So I just want to give her a shout out, because that was a blessing. And then the other blessing was a friend who helped me find the house I'm in now. Because of the 13, nobody would rent to me, because I wanted a rental. I wasn't trying to buy anything. I don't want to deal with all of that right now. I just want to be able to pick up the phone. Hey, the toilet don't work. Instead of, I got to find a plumber. And a friend who had a coworker that had this property available, and she took me to meet her, and I was just really honest and said, hey, when you run my credit, this is what you're going to see. But I got good credit. And the crazy part, Sabrina, the day I filed that Chapter 13, I had an 800 credit score.
Wow. Well, let me ask you this. Even though you stopped the Chapter 13, it still hit your credit.
Absolutely, because it filed it. It's still there. And even now, it's still there. It shows dismissed. But here's the thing. It doesn't show voluntarily dismissed. So I'm working on getting that corrected. I got the paperwork from the court, because that makes a difference. Just because it's dismissed, the court could have dismissed it because I didn't meet the financial requirements. But that wasn't the deal. I never confirmed it. I never went before a judge at all with this process. So, but I just really, for women, one of my takeaways was that any legal agreements you enter into with your husband, if he becomes your husband, you're still on the hook for that. It doesn't matter that you're not together. It doesn't matter that you are divorced. If it is any type of, whether it's buying property, whether it's loan, anything financial, those things extend beyond the marriage. So make good choices about what things, make smart choices. I made an emotional decision. I was trying to save a marriage that was on life support. And I felt like, hey, if he gets to do his business and
it'll be better.
yeah, it'll be better. And that wasn't the case. The loan was taken out in July. By that February, we were split up. So, really think about it and make smart choices in that way.
Wow.
I know that's a lot, right?
Oh, yeah. But look,
sip.
cheers to you, Rhonda. Cheers to you.
Thanks.
Because you're back.
Yeah, I am, and my self-esteem is rising because it did take a hit. I did. I felt like a failure.
After all that you've accomplished. And I'm only emphasizing it because I know a lot of people have this experience. Yeah. We forget. I forgot.
Yeah.
I forgot until I was doing a contract job last year, and the lady who's in charge of the school district that I was consulting with, she was like, I remember you from blank, and she was like, and you did all these, and she just started rattling off all these things I've done, and I had forgotten that I did those things, and it kind of helped me remember, like, I said to myself, you've forgotten who you are.
Yeah.
And all the grief.
We have to remind ourselves.
That's right. And the loss, you forget.
Because we do to ourselves what other people do to us, which is you're only as good as the last thing you did.
That's right.
And we do that to ourselves as well.
That's right.
And I had, like you, all the other stuff, I just felt like, failure. Why didn't I see this coming? Yeah. Why didn't I do my due? I was beating myself up at 30 years old, not doing my due diligence and understanding what I was getting into when I entered into that agreement with my husband.
Right.
And I'm thinking, okay, but you've learned, but you don't feel that when you're in that dark place. You don't see any of that.
You don't.
And that's part of what helps bring you into the light. Remembering who you are, remembering the things that you've done, and thinking about your purpose, and really getting rid of the victim mentality. Because as long as I was in victim mode, I was stuck. Because I could have did all the stuff that I did on that backside. I could probably start working on that stuff earlier. But it was just so overwhelming. And it just was so dark. I couldn't see light. And I just kind of gave up.
Yeah.
Like, okay, girl, you can't keep fighting the devil because he winning right now.
Right.
And then that go back to that should thing. For me, because as a matriarch with these children, I had a concern there about not so much how they would see me, but I'm always on them, and y'all got to do better, you got to do this and you got to do that. And then for me to be in a position, no car, okay, I'm back on MARTA, facing homelessness, don't know where I'm gonna live, might lose a house that I've pretty much paid, because the house was almost paid off. I've been in there 29 years. How does that look to them when I'm constantly trying to uplift them and help them to win? What kind of role model am I? And those were the only people I really cared about. Other people, because this is how I felt. The people, well, I'll put it in the words of that illustrious philosopher, Dr. Seuss.
I love that. I got the whole collection of Dr. Seuss books. Don't do it.
He says,
I'm holding it for my grandchildren.
Those that mind don't matter.
That's right.
Those that matter don't mind.
That's right.
And so I was aware. So I was never worried, because the people that matter to me, I knew that, they were gonna love on me. They were going, because they know me, and people on the outside who have opinions, let them.
That's right, because they have a story too.
They got a story.
They got a story too. Well, let me say a couple things from what you just said. The first thing about your kids, your grandchildren, your son, I feel my daughter watched me go through a transition of having everything to struggling to getting it back, right? And I think that the most important thing to my daughter was the fight. I don't think she cared about the material things too much. I mean, it wasn't as easy as it was before, but like, I think that she's more proud of watching me fight to make my way back than anything else. I think your children are watching you. You taught them.
Well,
you taught them how to survive. Right. I'm saying children because I'm talking about your.
Because I am single. I am only one, y'all. I got nieces and nephews. I got nieces and nephews. My sister's children, because both of my sister, their grandchildren.
Right.
My son and grandson. So that's
when I said children, about. I meant your son and grandson.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay, but I got
all the help me. Anyway, so we're gonna get to your status in a minute.
If any single men are looking, I've only got one, and he's an adult. Don't worry about him. He's living his life. Mama's trying to live hers.
Somebody help me. Okay, so anyway, I was saying,
Okay.
I think that I was going to say, I don't think that's a worry because I know that you taught them, children learn from doing, not saying. Yeah. So we can tell them all day long what to do.
But they see.
But when they see us do it, that's the
that's what they
level.
see. My great niece, she came over to where I'm at now. She's like, oh,
yeah,
TT, this is so nice. Oh, right. TT, you back. TT, you on your feet.
That's right. They watch us.
Cause they were, and I think they were worried too because they depend on me to be a rock.
That's right.
And they were, even Marcel was hovering like an old mother bird, because it was hard. Yeah. My 60th birthday, I spent in the house. Mm-hmm. Well, I did get my hair done that morning, so take that back. I told you, no matter what, gonna be a diva. But I didn't celebrate. I didn't do anything. I stayed home. Mm-hmm. And those that know me know that's so unlike me. Right. Because typically my birthdays are national holidays, and especially a milestone. Right. But that's how deep in the woods I was. And I'm just thankful. I'm thankful to God. I'm thankful to my tribe. Mm-hmm. And just grateful. Mm-hmm. For how everything has turned out. And this is how God works. A beautiful young couple bought my house. Mm-hmm. And they said, we plan on starting our beautiful black family in this house. They're both professionals. This is their first home. And they're going to take care of that property, Mm-hmm. And my dark situation ended up being a light for them.
That's right.
That's and so I feel good about that. I still miss my porch, but the infamous porch. But it's all good, and so the journey continues. I feel like I'm back, but not 100%.
Yeah, but you're on your way.
I'm on my way.
I see you. I see your light is bright.
I'm on my way. So
let me say this. Did I cut you off? Mm-mm. Okay, good. Because I didn't mean to. The last words I want to say about these situations when you are in the dark, when you feel like you've lost everything and you want to, you got to start over, is to be receptive. That's actually my word for the year. Every year I have a word, and my word this year is being receptive. And you were talking about your village and your friends, and allow them to help you when they want to help you. That's something I had to learn. Like, people gathered around me, and I didn't know how to receive it at first because I'm usually the one who's gathering around them.
Same.
But I allowed myself to receive it, and it has been such a blessing.
Yes.
The last thing I want to say about Ms. Hight is she is single and ready to mingle.
Shameless plug.
No, I told my guests going forward that anybody who is single and they want everybody to know it, we're going to talk about it.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
Do you have an Instagram?
I do.
How do you want to be contacted? How do you say your book can be bought on Amazon, right?
Yeah.
And then do you want to be contacted at all?
No. It's through my website.
Okay.
The website.
Oh, your book is through the website.
Yeah.
Okay, what's the website again?
www.letstalkllc.com.
All right, I got that.
Yeah.
And is there a way to contact you through the website?
Yes, you can contact me through the website. And I'm sitting here now I'm feeling my age because I'm like, what is my Instagram name? And I'm not really
It's okay, because this is the thing. You guys, please comment.
I do have one for the business. It's Let's Talk LLC 25
Somebody
on Instagram.
Help me. Listen.
Because I'm ready now, Sabrina.
If you didn't get any of that, you can always reach me and say, hey, I'd like to talk to Rhonda. Yeah. And then I can vet them for you. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. And then I'll give you the information. I'll give you the information on how to reach her, whether it be for the book or anything else.
I mean,
inspiration.
It all starts with a conversation.
That's right.
Yeah. I don't know that, I should solicit business when I'm also trying to solicit a man.
Of course. All of that. You got to do all of it.
I'm a good person. Mm-hmm. Can be a great companion for the right guy. And you got to be the right guy. Now, if you want some more mess, that's okay. Don't holler.
On that note, we're going to end the show. Thank you for joining us again on About This Aging Thing. Black may not crack, but what about the other shit? Sex, health, interest, and truth. And don't forget, keep smiling on the outside until the inside feels the same. Have a great day, everybody.